Good evening and welcome to Zodiak TV News with me, Robert Kalua. I'm glad you could join us. Here's a preview of some of our top stories tonight. Malawi lawmakers review plans to drag state to court over Malawi savings bank sale. President Peter Mutharika commemorates 2013 treason arrest in Lilongwe. Government requires at least 50 million kwacha for road rehabilitation across the country. MCC Vice President impressed with power due progress. These are some of our top stories tonight. Stay with us. Malawian lawmakers have revealed plans to drag government to court over Malawi Savings Bank sale. Chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee, Peter Mutharika, said the legislators feel betrayed as the matter was referred back to the committees of Parliament. Government recently announced the sale deal was going ahead through the Public-Private Partnership Commission. Jacqueline Shema reports.
The committees of Parliament responsible for the Legal Affairs and Budget and Finance feel cheated that after an understanding that the sale of the Malawi Savings Bank would be suspended to allow the broader consultations on the way forward, government has proceeded to offer the bank for sale. The understanding was struck at the close of the just-ended mid-year review of the 2014-2015 national budget. Finance Minister Goodwill Gondwe made the undertaking on behalf of the Malawi government. However, the two committees now feel government took them for a ride and has not respected their oversight role by letting the Public-Private Partnership Commission proceed with the sale of the bank. Chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Peter Mutharika, says Parliament will now seek legal redress in the courts over the matter.
In the first place, it's just unfortunate that the process to sell the bank, the government has decided to proceed. We do understand that legally they would argue that they are not breaking any law. A reading of the law indeed would give them a leeway to go ahead. But my understanding is that the law is here to save the people. If indeed it shall come from the very same committee that were mandated to look into the matter, which I believe they haven't yet sat down to look into the matter, we have to proceed to have court intervention. There are several options before us. We may seek judicial review. We may seek an injunction, not necessarily to have a perpetual injunction where government shall be stopped for eternity. But we want the procedure or the processes to stop for the meantime, to give a leeway for these honorable members sitting in Budget and Finance Committee to deliberate thoroughly and come up with the recommendations.
The majority of parliamentarians, especially from the opposition benches, vehemently objected to the idea of the sale of the bank, arguing, among other things, that this was the most accessible bank to villagers. The legislators further argued that selling off the facility would defeat the government agenda to achieve financial inclusion, as entrusting the task with private owners would be excluding villagers. FDH Bank is reportedly the sole bank that has expressed interest to buy shares in MSB. This came out on Monday at a ceremony organized by the Public-Private Partnership Commission. Government plans to sell it at 800 million kwacha against the 46 billion kwacha value of the bank. This is Jacqueline Shema for ZBS News in Lilongwe.
President Peter Mutharika today participated in an exercise aimed at face-lifting hoarding cells and offices at Lumba's police station, where he and 11 others were kept after being arrested for alleged treason in 2013. The charges were later dropped when he became president. Tadala Kalidzera reports.
PP spokesperson Ken Msonda said what the DPP has done is a waste of resources and government money. UDF spokesperson Ken Danga could not comment on the development, saying they did not receive official communication from the State House, so they did not know what has transpired. President Arthur Peter Mutharika arrived at Lumbazi police station Wednesday morning with 11 other senior members of the DPP, whom he was arrested along with for treason during the Dr. Joyce Banda regime. The leaders wanted to paint the police cells blue, an act they say was part of commemoration of their arrest in 2013. The president later proceeded to Maula prison, where he donated bags of maize, blankets and solar panels.
Local human rights lawyer and commentator Justin Zonzi says the Democratic Progressive Party youths are at liberty to commemorate the arrest of their party leader, President Peter Mutharika, in 2013. Zonzi, however, says he hopes other political entities would in the future be allowed the same opportunity. These remarks follow celebrations the DPP Central Region Youth Wing organized on Wednesday in Lilongwe to mark the day when President Mutharika and 5 others were arrested on treason charges for allegedly trying to forcibly assume leadership after Bingwa Mutharika's death. Charles Wahara reports.
First and foremost, we must accept that under our constitution, we guarantee the freedom of expression. So within that, we must anticipate that Malawians, irrespective of their political affiliations, are allowed to express themselves in a manner that's within the law. To the extent, therefore, that what the DPP officials are doing is basically to commemorate the event, which is significant to them and to the party, there's nothing wrong with that, so long as they are doing it within the ambit of the law. So I see nothing wrong with the commemoration, but we can't read more than that in that episode.
Now, does this mean that the PP administration was in the wrong for the alleged treason?
No, my view is we cannot read within the commemoration an allegation that the PP administration was wrong. Remember the chronicle of events. There was a commission of inquiry which made findings, and the arrest and the subsequent charges only came after the commission of inquiry had recommended that there should be prosecution. Now, if anybody was to blame, you may not necessarily blame PP as a party, but perhaps the prosecution authorities. So if I were the director of public prosecution at that date, and I was then given the information from the commission of the inquiry, but formed the opinion that that did not suffice evidentially, lie charges against the DPP officials, I would not have done so. But if I did, then it is only right and proper that I should take the blame and not necessarily PP as a party. So my view is we need to draw that strong distinction, that is the authority to prosecute rests in the office of the director of prosecution and not in any political office.
What precedence does this set?
Well, in general terms, like I'm saying, I'm looking at the whole process as a demonstration, a form of expressing the position that the DPP officials have taken. And this is a significant event to the DPP. So I think it does not mean anything more than what it is, except to the extent that if the police have allowed DPP officials to hold a similar commemoration, then if the musicians in Malawi, on the day that the late Matafare died, decide they want also to hold a similar commemoration, they should be allowed. If the MCP wants to do the same over the Mwanza murder trials, then they should be allowed. But other than that, I don't really see why we should read too much into the commemoration itself.
Local human rights lawyer Justin Zonzi. The Minister of Transport and Public Waste, Francis Kasaila, says government needs $35 to $50 million to rehabilitate all roads that were damaged by floods in the country's 15 districts. Kasaila says government has so far acquired $15 million from World Bank for rehabilitation works. Kasaila said this during a press briefing in capital Lilongwe on Wednesday. Veronica Mwade has the details.
The floods that hit some parts of the country destroyed several infrastructure in the country, including roads, making some areas impassable. Government says it's now ready to start rehabilitating the roads in the 15 affected districts. Minister of Transport and Public Works, Francis Kasaila, says the work will commence once the rainy season ends. He said the works will proceed although government has not yet acquired all funds required for the works.
There is a huge impact in the road sector in as far as the floods are concerned. So far, we have made a full assessment on all roads that have been affected to date. And our estimates are that we'll need between $35 million and $50 million to provide permanent structures on the sections that have been affected. And this is across the 15 districts. and it also covers the undesignated roads, not just the roads that we are responsible for. So far, we have been given 15 million by the World Bank, and we are engaging our officers to make sure that the tender documents are ready. We start the procurement of contractors so that the moment the rains stop, we are out there to start working on the section that have been affected.
1,220 kilometers of the country's roads was affected by the rains, in which 334 kilometers were totally damaged. 185 bridges were also reported damaged, in which 64 were partially damaged and the rest totally damaged. For ZBS News, this is Veronica Mani.
The Millennium Challenge Corporation Deputy Vice President, who is on tour of the projects in the country, has expressed satisfaction on the project of work being done in improving the energy sector in the country. The Deputy Vice President, Jonathan Broom, made the remarks after touring Mkula Hydropower Station on Tuesday, and that the Malawi seems to be on track 1.5 years into the 5-year project. So far, 20 million United States dollars, which is close to 9 billion kwacha, has been spent for contracts out of the total $350 million, well committed for the project by the U.S. government. Pilan Tambala filed this report. That report at this time. We'll bring it later with the bulletin. A reminder that you're watching the news on Zodiak Television live from our studios in Lilongwe. We've got more news after the break. Welcome back. Before we proceed, a look at our main stories. Malawi lawmakers review plans to drag state to court over Malawi Savings Bank sale. President Peter Mutharika commemorates 2013 treason arrest in Lilongwe. Government requires at least 50 million kwacha for road rehabilitation across the country. MCC Vice President impressed with power deal progress. The Malawi Police Service says they are leaving no stone unturned to arrest all people connected to attacks of albinos in the country. Deputy National Police spokesperson Mebo Msefula made the remarks amid a surge of incidents of killings, mutilations and also kidnapping of people with albinism in the country. Jacqueline Shema caught up with Msefula.
Firstly, I would say the Malawi Police Service is strongly condemning and warning all perpetrators of the unbecoming and criminal behavior of killing, abducting and even selling people with albinism in the country. So far, we have arrested about 5 suspects who are in various police cells across the country, mostly in the eastern region of Zomba, Mangochi, and Blantyre, and in the southern region in Blantyre. And another suspect, Saidi Mpunga, age 32, is in police custody in neighboring Mozambique, answering a murder charge of an albino. And when extradited back to Malawi, he is to answer another murder charge, where he is alleged to have killed his albino girlfriend in Moranje.
It seems this act of abducting and killing of albinos, or being found with body parts of dead albinos, is happening mostly in the eastern region and of course the southern region of Malawi. Why do you think as police this is the case?
Maybe the bordering districts like Mulanje, people come from Mozambique, and in Blantyre, 2 cases that have been reported, and it's just recent.
What assurance are you now giving to albinos or their families when it comes to their security?
We are appealing to the general public in the country to guard against this unbecoming behavior. Let us all protect people with albinism, whether children or adults. To relatives and guardians of children with albinism, let us make sure that we are not enticed by other people to sell our children or to give our children just because they are promising that they are going to give us something, or they are promising that they will marry our daughters or our nieces, because they are coming in that way to say, I want to marry this one, but in the long run, they end up killing them.
Mebom Sefula, Deputy National Police spokesperson. Meanwhile, a 19-year-old man who was charged of abducting a 2-year-old girl with albinism in Machinga has allegedly committed suicide by jumping from a moving police vehicle as he was being taken to Zomba Resident Magistrate Court. Meanwhile, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has expressed shock at the surge in violent attacks against people with albinism in East African countries, including Malawi. Let's now move to international news. Cameroonian authorities say about 80 children rescued from a Boko Haram camp in the country cannot remember their own names or origins. The militant group has been involved in mass kidnappings in Nigeria and neighboring countries.
Director for the US-based National Democratic Institute said the 80 children aged between 5 and 18 could not speak English, French or any local languages. The children were found at a camp in northern Cameroon in November. Nigerian-based Boko Haram militants have extended their campaign into Cameroon. The militants are fighting to establish an Islamic caliphate in northeastern Nigeria. Well, Chadian authorities have closed all schools and universities after deadly protests over new regulations requiring motorbike riders to wear a helmet. At least 3 people were killed over several days of student-led protest. Motorbikes are a popular form of transport in Chad and are frequently used as taxis. Well, many people oppose the new safety regulations, arguing the helmets are too expensive as well as too hot for the climate. Well, helmet prices have tripled since the new regulation was introduced earlier this year. Let's now move to sports news. United Football Club patron has become the first person to declare his interest to contest for farm presidency. Which United Football Club patron Owen Chomanika has become the first person to declare his interest to stand as farm president in December this year. Farm will hold an elective AGM following the expiry of the term of office of the executive. Well, accountant by professional, Chomanika says he is not standing because the current president, Walter Nyamilandu, mentioned he would retire. Mike Bango speaks to Chomanika.
Yeah, I can confirm that it's true, and it was after really a good thought for some time and some ages. I feel that is very much a decision-making and strategic position for football in this country. You know, the role of farm is to administer, control, and manage the game of football. Such means that the whole framework of how football is done, that's the origin. So for me, I feel I have the capabilities to do those, and I've also been in the football for some time. So I've seen some of the issues that can be well managed, that can be also be done the other way in an innovative way. So I feel I should not just say and just talk. You know, people love talking and blaming. I feel I should just join this and be able to make those advices from that side. One thing we should say, I think water has been also one of the best we have had since 1964. Can also be the fact that what if we don't come in? Then people will say we should continue maybe with him if they don't see another one. So it means we need somebody who can do better, who can do like him and even better than him, which I know I can. And also it can be not true that maybe because he's not standing. I just feel it's time for me to also help and participate in the leadership of the football.
Owen Chomanika, aspiring farm president, where Malawi's CAF representative Big Bullets have today left for Sudan for Sunday's Champions League game against Al Hilal, where the team left via Kamuzu International Airport with a promise to the nation of positive results. The team is expected to arrive in Khartoum on Thursday. Details with Mike Bango.
Speaking on departure, Bullets team manager John Piri told ZBS the team is determined to do well in the encounter against Al Hilal, and that the players have been prepared both tactically and physically to perform well, despite that they will be playing away.
Most of the players are experienced, so we are able to handle any situation because we tell the guys what to do when there is such situation. But otherwise, you know, most of the players, they're senior guys. Most of them, they play in the national team. So I think we are able to handle the situation in Sudan.
Bulles veteran midfielder James Chirapondwa hailed his teammates for sheer determination and commitment despite going through financial hardships. Chirapondwa, who was part of the 2004 Bulles team that reached the quarterfinals of the same competition, said although the team is comprised of more young players as compared to the one of the 2004, the boys are hungry for success.
Last time the team had a lot of internationals, and this team is full of youngsters, but it has potential. But I hope we're going to do well. It's our team spirit. This team is well organized and united.
On his part, Captain Fisher Kondowe said they are not taking the game lightly, taking into consideration that El Hilal are a constant feature in the competition. According to Kondowe, the players are ready to get positive results in Sudan despite negative stories that have been in the media for the past week. Kondowe says the players have been told to concentrate on the pitch while the executive should be doing their job.
Truth, it's not easy because the club doesn't have money, and I told the players that we must just focus on our game because that is not our part of job to look after money. The executive must look after money and give us. So that's the only thing I told the players to focus on playing football.
Bulles takes on El Hilal on Sunday, 7 o'clock Malawi time in Khartoum, Sudan, after they eliminated Fomboni FC of Comoros Island in the first preliminary round. For ZBS Indilongwe, this is Mike Bango.
Well, good luck to Bullets, and that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of the news. But before I sign out, another look at some of our major stories. Malawi lawmakers review plans to drag state to court over Malawi Savings Bank sale. President Peter Mutharika commemorates 2013 treason arrest in Lilongwe. Government requires at least 50 million kwacha for road rehabilitation across the country. MCC Vice President impressed with power deal progress on that note. Well, on that note, it's time to say bye-bye. I'm Robert Kalwa. Thank you so much for being there. Good night.